Earlier today, wonderful wife told me I have weird shaped head. So you know that's what I'm going to be obsessing about through this entire video. You also know that even as I give the writing tips you're here for, that's probably what you're going to be thinking about. These 5 tips to become a better writer are things that I've learned through trial and experimentation. They're also things I've learned by reading, looking at different sources, and it's really just a result of my experiences over the last 5 to 6 years. And beyond that, my experiences as an academic writer during my master's program and even my bachelor's program. They are things that I have been able to apply where I have been able to see measurable growth in my writing from where it was and where it is today. And I hope that will be something that you find helpful throughout. Tip number 1, learn to accept constructive criticism. There's a distinct difference between spiteful criticism and constructive criticism, and it's important to learn the difference. That's probably a video of its own, but one I'm probably not the best person to dissect, at least not right now. So let's just give it kind of a brief overview. The best way that I think to kind of explain the difference is starting with what constructive criticism is. Constructive criticism provides you with actionable and specific ways to improve. Your book sucks is not constructive criticism. Your book sucks because your characters have the personality of a piece of wet cardboard is getting closer, but it's still kind of a dick thing to say. But if someone were to say, your book sucks because your characters just don't feel real, they feel as if they're written only to advance the plot. One way to fix this is to think about them beyond the pages you've already written. Assess their wants, their needs, their history. Maybe watch a video by Redbeard Flynn on making compelling characters. That is something that is actionable. You're given a specific way that you can go about improving to take care of that criticism, thus constructive part of the criticism. Sometimes this criticism comes softly, like flutters that dance around with polite phrases and warm hugs to make you swell with pride before subtly slipping in information that helps you grow. Other times, it hits you in the fucking face with a giant spiked baseball bat and leaves you gasping for air like you just fell off the swing at recess. You remember that? You remember that feeling? Yeah, that happens a lot in writing. Both ways can help. Some of the harshest criticism I received still helped me grow. It hurt a lot, but the person was fucking right. In a not so polite way, they informed me just how purple my prose was. And let me tell you, I was writing like some honors class reject, trying to inflict so much literary murder on the pages by throwing every flowery phrase I could pluck from the nethers that I might force Shakespeare from the grave just to get me to shut the fuck up. In short, I needed a reality check on my writing. With the pain of harsh criticism came growth. That person was still a dick, unnecessarily. But that doesn't change how my writing improved as a direct result of their constructive criticism. That's still different from spiteful criticism because I was told what the problem is. I was told what I could do to fix it. That is what you're looking for with constructive criticism. Again, actionable ways that you can improve your writing. It doesn't have to come as soft, it can come harsh, but as long as it's giving you something that you can improve on, it will still have value to you. I am a living example of this because my purple fucking prose is a lot better. I still cry at night, but that would probably happen anyway. Tip number 2, write. This should be self-explanatory and obvious, but sometimes I think it's important to stress to just write. Sometimes it's easy to slide into, well, if I can't write something perfect, I shouldn't write at all. I've personally gone through several of these phases where I abstained from writing to try and learn more about grammatical structure or world building, what have you. Not everything you write needs to be done with an eye toward publishing. Sometimes it's important just to get the words down. Think of an artist. Think of an artist who has so many full sketchbooks of art that will never see the light of day. It's a matter of just practice, practice, practice.
What are we talking about? Practice?
And who knows, what you write just on a lark may be the next thing that you want to turn into a novel. It may be something you want to expand upon and turn into a short story. It may be a wonderful piece of poetry and it wouldn't have happened if you had stopped yourself from writing because you were scared it wouldn't be good enough. So just write. Learn to accept the crap writing, bathe in it, absorb it, and then drink something strong before you move on to the next step. Edit the ever-living fuck out of your work. Find the mistakes you made. Find things that just don't sound right. Research and look into why it sounds off. This is your time to be critical of your own work because no one else will hear your wails of despair as you delete the 50th begins to in one chapter or realize that you have a weird fixation with your character's lips. That's a true story that my editor pointed out. And also an alpha reader and a beta reader. Yeah. Once you've exhausted your mental capacity on your own work, it's time to move on to something perhaps even more important: editing others. Spend some time honestly and thoroughly editing the work of your peers. Join a writer's group. They're essential to growing as an author. When you are removed from the personal connection of your own writing, you'll be able to see things from a different perspective. You don't have intimate knowledge of what was trying to be said. You have to interpret it, just like an audience will interpret your own writing. You are the audience. Oh, and when you're doing this, remember the first tip about constructive criticism, and don't be an absolute dick about it when you provide it. You're trying to help, not hurt. You will never make yourself a better writer by trying to put other writers down. Tip number 4. That wasn't 4, that was a thumb. Tip number 4 should be learn to count. Tip number 4, research. Pick up some books on writing. Grab a great courses audiobook. Read some blogs. Watch some YouTube videos. Or even if you have the time, try and take some courses at a college. I remember one of the most impactful things for me was taking an advanced creative writing course a la carte with Oxford University. Now, all that said, also take a moment to realize that while there is good advice out there, great advice that will help you, there is no secret formula. There's no do A, B, C, D, and E, and you'll be on the New York Times bestseller list. If there was, we'd all be doing things exactly the same way. And if there's anything I've learned from authors, we all do shit differently. What I've done over the last several years is to internalize a mantra about writing and rules. And this is where research comes in handy. Some rules in writing may be meant to be broken, but you need to know what the fuck they are before you break them. It's important to do so willfully and know why you're doing it, how it will improve your story. If you add a preposition to the end of every sentence or throw commas literally fucking everywhere for no reason, that's not being edgy or literary, that's just being dumb. Learn the rules, follow the ones that fit, break the ones that don't, and break them with purpose. Just because so-and-so author wrote a 3-page sentence that worked for them doesn't mean it will work for you. Learn the rules before you start breaking them. And the final and 5th tip, and probably most anticlimactic way to end this, like any good book, is read. I mean, do I really need to say anything about this one? Read? 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 I'm referring to books for pleasure here, not the aforementioned research books. Some of the most impactful things I've learned about writing and crafting characters and worlds specifically have come from reading. What kind of story hits you? What stays with you? Even things as small as specific phrases or words can be gleaned just from reading. One of the great joys of writing, at least for me, is that one of the best ways to learn is doing something that we'd already be doing anyway. Reading. Those are my 5 tips that I came up with that are kind of the basis of how I have continued to progress as a writer myself. They are the 5 tips that I still use today and will continue to use because I have a long way to go to improve as a writer. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you feel the same way. If you're seeking out information on how to be a better writer, you're already making the first steps you need to. Becoming a better writer takes a lot of humility because there is definitely a part of you that will always think, well, I don't need to learn this. I already learned this. I already know this. I already know how to write. There's definitely other things you can do to make yourself a better writer, but these ones are a great starting point. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please, in the comments down below, tell me what you've done to become a better writer. Tell me things that have helped you learn. If you have resources, if you want to tell about books or classes or anything or even YouTube channels, leave YouTube channel links below of things that have helped you learn how to do things better as a writer. What has improved your writing? Please tell me down below. If you like the content here, please like and subscribe to make all the different takes I had to do of this stupid little outro worth it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.